I'm going to say something controversial and brave.
Okay.
I like this show.
Yeah.
I like this show.
Well, let's be brave together.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
This is so I'm watching The Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 7.
The Eye.
Why is it called that? I mean,
I don't know.
Because we didn't knowingly get Sauron's eye.
She's blind.
Yeah, but that's...
Yeah.
I don't know why it's called that. And it was heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
It made sure to let us know what it wanted us to know.
That tag, it's a no for me.
If you haven't watched it yet, turn it off 10 seconds before it ends. It was just so not needed. That's part of the fun. I think the movies and the legacy still looms large over it, but the better job you do divorcing that and letting it be its own thing, the better it is. Because I still find Galadriel pretty insufferable, but she's getting better, and I've been with her enough that I'm no longer comparing her to Cate Blanchett.
I am past her insufferability. As soon as they were actually moving in the direction she wanted them to move in, and like now they're there, and she's like back on her bullshit in the correct way.
Well, I was gonna say she fucked around. She fucked around and found out.
She did,
and so no, I thought this was a really good episode. I thought it was very good, with the exception of the handful of clunkers.
Yeah.
Because like when Galadriel's talking to Theo and she's like, we'll head out in the morning, and he's like, what morning? I was like, okay, we don't need that. but I liked their material.
Yes.
Who would have thought that? Mm-hmm. I said it while we were watching it, but I was like, I would have never thought that pairing them up.
The two most cliched chip on their shoulder characters.
But it worked. I think on some level, emotionally, they're on
the same. Yeah.
They're even keeled. Sure. And so, no, it was really good. And Galadriel's aphorisms and stuff, they suited Theo's. I still just really like Theo. I don't know why I'm so in on Theo. I'm that way with a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
We were actually...
It's weird that you're so there on Theo because he is a child who we are never like fully there for in shows like this.
I don't know. I guess I could see one of two ways his character would go, and I was hoping for the better, and it appears we're going the better. And this was a little bit of a slow start, and I think things are starting to pay off. And there we go. There's my point. That's one of my favorite parts about this episode is things were happening in ways that things were happening that I cared about.
Yeah.
And they were progressing the characters' plots, not just the plot itself. Like, we lost Antonimo, I think was his name.
Yeah.
I liked him. I'm sad to lose him. I'm not going to remember or notice. And it helps me with, is it Valindil? The other one who's still alive? I wrote the names down when they said it this time, so...
Yeah, Valindil and Antimo.
And I've said a few times that this show, I don't think, can afford to lose characters, certainly not likable ones at this point, because they've still just barely got us.
Yeah.
So if they were tapping out any major players, I would be like, I wouldn't do that. But I was invested in that. The stakes, I love the presence of the stakes, because obviously Galadriel is untouchable, and that's fine. That's whatever. But like having Queen Muriel be blinded in the fire, because I noticed it said flesh sizzling. And so I was like, that they made sure that was written down, so it had to mean something. And I just, because for a second I was like, did they just kill her there? And I would have hated that. But the fact that it's like they're taking time to layer in some stakes. And
it's also, it's not done anything except for like make her more committed to the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Which as opposed to her like just like falling to her knees and being like, I'm blind, so I'm useless now. Like a lot of characters are wont to do.
Well, and I was commenting while we were watching it, but I was like, this could actually only benefit her if she plays it the right way. Because it gives her a thing. It gives her a shtick, and people need things in this world. And it it allows her to be even more dramatic, because I was joking, I was like, they need to like change her crown so that those like thin thingies are on the face now. Like, I don't know, I was like, she can just be even weirder and more stoic and more like, I think it's cool. And Elendil, he's going to a butthurt place that you're not loving, but I think he's still in there.
He's still in there. He just like, they think that Isildur is dead, and anyone who's seen the movies knows he's not. And so that was just, I'm sort of like, I don't think we should be doing this when like people who know better know that he's alive. Like it's
most likely,
it's like needless.
Most likely, yes. But this is an adaptation. They are changing things. They could change things. I mean, he could die, and then his friend or son or whatever takes up his name in his honor, and that becomes. We have no idea what they're gonna do. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's good and interesting and important to note where we know things are going or think things are going.
Sure.
But also remember, this is its own thing. It's gonna do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Also, you're right.
What?
I guess that, well, because Elrond is there when Isildur won't throw the ring into Mount Doom. So I don't know. I guess it could go either way.
With it being someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying we don't really know, because we got the nugget in this one that Galadriel was married to Celeborn. And did she say the words died?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember if she said the word.
No, because Theo was like, have you lost people? And she was like, my brother and also my husband and Celeborn. And I was like, what?
Well, that's another thing that people are going to freak out over. And I'm like, maybe in this version, they killed him off to do other things with her.
Okay, but then we can't have anybody, because she needs a child for Elrond to marry.
So then she has a child with somebody else. We don't know. We don't know what they're going to do. And so my point is, or maybe in season 2 or 3 or whatever, it turns out he's not dead. Oh,
I think it's going to be that, because she's going to have thought he was dead, that he died in the war. And
let it do its thing. Like, let it fucking exist. And
okay, here's the thing for me. All of a sudden, it was like, all of a sudden, his son is maybe dead because they found his horse, but not him, because he was like helping people get out of the tavern. Elendil, yes. And so so now all of a sudden he's like, I should have let that elf bitch drown in the ocean. And I'm like, okay.
He did not say it like that.
He didn't not say it like that. He said those exact words.
He didn't say bitch.
It was implied.
It was in the eyes.
But it went too far, because it's like, maybe they can't find Isildur and the queen is blind. And so all of a sudden.
Which was a really bad idea for them to send her out looking for him.
Yeah. Imagine. That's the thing, though. It's going to be a full Aragorn thing in the next episode, is because they let his horse go, and it's going to go fucking drag him out from under
a barrack or something. He knows he's there. I love it. I love. Oh, also, they're not making sure that we know all of the horses are okay, because the flaming horse count tally is up to 1. That was
0 peeps, 1 flaming horse.
1 flaming horse. That was a lot. But
they were saving it all up for this episode. And
they needed to make sure we knew it was bad.
So I guess the Númenóreans are going back to Númenor, and then they're going to come back with more help, is what Queen Muriel said.
Okay.
They're gonna go back to like regroup and then bring more like help. And Halbrand got stabbed or something, but he's gonna be okay, because Galadriel is taking him to Lindon.
Where's Lindon?
It's where Gil-galad is, because she has to go talk to him.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna go amazing unless Elrond is also there. She's gonna see that fucking dead tree, and she's gonna be like, bitch, I fucking told you! You tried to send me back to the Undying Lands, and you knew this was happening! You're lucky I jumped off that boat!
Fools! Which man did this?
What man did this?
Yeah, very which man did this.
Bronwyn and Arondir are okay, and then they drag that out, and I was fine with that.
In no scenario did I think that Arondir was going to be dead, and I would have been shocked if they killed Bronwyn off camera after she survived 2 arrow wounds to
Last
the
night,
midsection.
she's doing great.
Yeah, she
one
is
to the shoulder, one to the...
trotting around, helping. She's healing Halbrand. She's mustering the healers.
But my favorite is it's been, I mean, at most 12 hours.
Yeah.
And she comes up to the mountaintop, which, I mean, it would have taken 12 hours to get there in the first place.
For
But
me, a healthy person.
she comes up to the mountaintop. She's like, well, we set all the bones and stitched all the wounds. Time to go. And I was kind of like, that's not how medicine works. But I'm fine with that.
Fine.
It's that sort of like, that's the whole corporate, like, camel. Like, you built a camel.
Well, it's also like, what the hell's her name? Nori's father's ankle seems just fine now. He's like got a cane, but he's walking normal.
Because you were like, sir, you have a liquid ankle.
Well, he's like threatening those weird people, and then like, I'll brain you with this. And I was like, you can barely stand on your ankle.
Well, to that note, the
Harfoots!
Poppy dropped the mixtape. When is it coming?
Poppy Proudfoot, EP. Proud fellow, my bad.
So they've gotten to the place where they go that's different from the other place that they go. And there and back again is all I'm saying. And it had gotten torched by collateral from the volcano.
Yeah.
And
where it was coming up, like the tunnels. So
Okay.
it had like come up from the bottom.
Find $1. The wizard, because let's be honest, was like trying to heal the tree, and as has been his MO, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
It didn't work immediately.
You can't have light without some dark. So he like breaks the tree and almost kills Dilly or something.
Yeah.
Which was stupid on Dilly's part to go charging in.
Well, it's Nori's little sister.
Sure.
Yeah.
Luckily, they didn't just completely turn on him, which was kind of what I was figuring, but they did sort of send him off.
Yeah, Sadok was like, the big people's village is over there. They'll help you find your stars.
It's fair.
Yeah.
So they sent him off, and then it turns out the next day he had fixed everything, and it was embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
But
only for 10 hours.
We're dealing with like a 12-hour turnover.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. It keeps things moving. It keeps things moving.
It is keeping things moving.
It's helping me to think of it as a family show.
Yeah.
It really is. And so then the 3 witches from Macbeth showed up.
Kind of. Yeah.
I don't know what their deal is. I love each and every one of them.
It's the vibes for me.
I would go to war for the middle one. That fucking shaved head. They're presenting female. I'm going to call them female. We have no reason to believe.
White eyebrows.
Oh, and the white irises.
Yeah.
I love it. And especially because they've been like spooky and they've been like ominous. But this episode, that scene was borderline scary.
Yeah, it was pretty scary.
Like when they were on the
ridge
with the tree and they found the flower, and Nori went charging in to be like, he went that way.
He didn't go that way. He went the way they were about to go.
And they disappeared, and then she like approached from behind. That was really effective.
She took like an acorn off of her little headdress thing.
In the preview for next week, Nori's eyes were whited out. That's probably what that is. I didn't even think about that.
And then that's when her dad is like, I'll brain you with my fiery stick. And then she touched it and it went,
she pulled all the fire out of it and then like set on fire all of the wagons and presumably sleeping children.
I don't know.
They didn't touch on that, but it felt dark.
Okay, in the aftermath, they didn't seem to be grieving Harfoots. Just their belongings.
I'm just saying, it was the dead of night.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, let's follow this thought experiment through. And Rachel was particularly funny in that one because he was like, I'll brain you. And she took the fire. And Rachel was like, bitch, he said brain you, not burn you. He still got his stick. Start beating her about the head. I don't know.
So then they just basically disappeared. And that they are clearly going after. I think it's Sauron.
You think it's Sauron?
I think it's Sauron. I don't think it can be Gandalf for some reason. It doesn't feel Gandalf-y to me.
Well, because I like the notion that he's capable of good and bad.
Which, I mean, they kind of all are.
It could be. So I'm fine with that. We haven't seen Numenor in a minute.
Well, they're all in Middle Earth right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, except for A-E-I-O-U.
Oh, the sister, yeah.
Arian, there you go. And Kemen, apparently.
Oh, and the
I don't know why they're pretending he's a character. Farazan's son.
Yeah.
What?
You're right. I mean, he's just...
He has a thing!
No, I know he does.
Of all the people that I've needed referenced, that's not one of them. But, which brings us to the other phenomenal part of this show and series.
The dwarves.
Which is Elrond and
Durin.
I love, and that's what these things need, and especially these like high concept, high fantasy, the adventure shows. Is yes, we need traipsing through the woods, and yes, we need castles and dragons and palace intrigue and stuff like that. But we need to care.
Yeah.
We need to like the people. We need to have reason to care about what happens to them, and the amount. I am the most invested in this entire show in Durin and Elrond and this whole thing.
Durin is like the linchpin of this whole storyline because he is Elrond's friend, but he's also the go-between between his father and the rest of the dwarves and Disa. So it's like, if we don't have Durin, we don't have any of that. And so I really think that that's good storytelling.
And it's interesting because I think the writing for the show is, we'll go with medium.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting, again, assuming that we're heading the direction that we think we are, which it seems that we are. It
doesn't seem. We saw this bitch's face.
But I'm saying it seems that this is a bad idea. It's very interesting watching this unfold where we are rooting for this partnership between the elves and the dwarves. Yeah. And we are rooting for Durin to throw over his father and do this. But we know it's his father's right, and this is the wrong thing to do. Yeah. That's very interesting, and that's a level of complexity that the show is not really playing with elsewhere.
I think Durin and Disa and Elrond are, like, morally correct. They should be helping each other. But King Durin is, like, ethically correct, where he's like, what do you think is down there?
Well, and he's like, how do you think we've gotten to this place? Like,
well,
the old ways are still working.
Yeah. I also really appreciated his, where he was like, their fate was decided, like, eons ago when ours was too. And I just was like, you know, like, he's definitely not wrong. But, like, in the moment, you're like, this is essentially, I mean, it's not active, but it's like, it's essentially a genocide. That's getting all the and you would imagine that they had enough time to get their affairs in order or whatever, but, you know, they're not gonna just all drop dead when the, like, tree goes out or whatever, but, you know, I don't know. I think it's really interesting.
I think it is. And,
also, not for nothing, but, like, sure, we are unleashing a Balrog, but at the same time, might we need the elves to defeat Sauron, who we're all got our heads in the sand still about him coming back? You know, which we do. We do need the elves.
Well, and I was gonna say to piggyback off of that complex plot in this episode and show, it seems that we're staring down the barrel of an unwitting Lady Macbeth plot for Disa, where I don't think that she's intending to deceive or to maneuver him for her own personal gain.
Okay. Lady Macbeth is like, you need to kill that bitch. Disa is just like, someday it's going to be yours. You need to stop putting so much weight on your father.
I think of Lady Macbeth as not so much you need to kill this person. I think of it as steering through her husband.
Sure, but Lady Macbeth says you need to kill this
I know she does.
Okay.
But when I'm talking about
the trope, okay.
I'm talking about, like, and I think it's interesting because we frequently see that trope presented from a place of deviousness from the wife.
Sure,
and we don't have any reason to believe that Disa is motivated by something self-serving.
Dark. Exactly.
She's genuinely trying to be a good wife with the information that she has.
Yeah,
and that's why I was like, it's very fascinating for us to step back and know what we think we know and be like, ooh,
yeah,
this isn't a great idea. And, you know, it's also because not for nothing, it was King Durin that threw the leaf into the hole and woke the Balrog. So it's like everyone's participating.
Everyone's to blame.
And I loved it because Galadriel had a couple of good lines. And yes, they were heavy-handed. Like, yes, they were very obvious surface level things. But I loved when she told Theo not to call, when he was like, how many orcs have you killed? She was like, many. And he said, good. And she was like, don't say that.
Yeah.
And furthermore, when he was trying to blame it on himself.
That's the moment I loved. And that's the
Is that where you've come around?
Those are the Galadriel, because we've been getting very tiny moments like that. Those are the moments with Galadriel where I'm like, okay, I can see Cate Blanchett in this. Like, at the end of this journey, I can see Cate Blanchett. And so it's like, the fact that she could, because I think she can almost see herself in Theo. And she's like, I can't let him feel this way because then he'll turn into the worst parts of me.
Yeah, and she very much was like, your actions may have contributed to an unfavorable outcome, but that's not what you were trying to do. Also, and she basically said, and I think God, whatever it may be, takes into account your heart.
Yeah, it was also going to happen anyway. Like, there was, like, at some point, this was gonna happen anyway. So it's like, so it happened now.
Because I was expecting her to be way more butthurt. And
I think, see, that's the thing that where I have come around on her, is because I think that she is, I think she now can recognize that she was dealing with this stuff unhealthily before. And so she's trying to move forward in a, like, more correct way, which I appreciate.
They dismissed Elrond, and his father kind of dethroned, like, deprinced him.
I don't know how that would work.
I also, not for nothing, I think Durin, King Durin has been good. I think he brought a kind of gravitas that we've needed a little bit of.
Do you know who's playing him? He was like the creepy religious guy in that show Cursed.
Oh.
And he was in season 2, I think, of Westworld. He was like trapped in that room in Westworld. His name's Peter Mullen. He's like a really good actor.
He just brought like a Bill Nighy, Ian McKellen, like, needed gravitas.
Sure.
You need an old guy with a beard being like, no!
Yeah.
Every so often. Like, and he brought that. And I was like, okay, here we are. Yeah. We're doing it. We're feeling it. We're cooking.
So they did find all the mithril, but then King Durin was like, close it up. But not before he threw the elf leaf down there and woke up our bestie.
And that checks for me because of that parable they told, or the fable about, like, the Valar and the Balrog, or was it a Valar? I don't think
it was like an
angel and a demon.
It was an elf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Balrog. Yeah. And they were fighting over the tree. And so I think that
it's
checks
like the
for me
roots
that
of
the tree woke it up.
Yeah.
It's checking. It's checking. And I did forget to mention back with the Harfoots that Nori is going off to help the stranger, and Poppy's going with Nori, and
the dad and the mom are going as well.
Largo's going with Poppy, and Marigold is going with Largo, and Sadoc's going with Marigold. Yeah. And Malva, that bitch, she's finally...
I don't think Malva's going.
No, she's not, but she's finally copped up. Like, she's finally been like, yeah, I've talked mad shit, but you know what?
You gotta go.
Yeah, all in all, I'm really enjoying it.
Me too.
And honestly, easily 30% of that is the lower stakes.
Yeah.
I think if this was higher art, I would just be at capacity.
Oh, 100%. Like 100%. Imagine if we were still watching Westworld. That's what it is. That's what it is.
And I just I know that some people really, really, really wanted that, and I'm sorry that they're not getting it. And frankly, I mean, there's a reality, I think, where this show gets better.
Yeah.
I've thought that this season has gotten better.
Yeah, I agree with that, for sure.
If given a chance, I'm so curious to find out if it's actually a hit or not. We don't really quite know.
You know what? I will allow Jeff Bezos to have his Game of Thrones hissy fit for as long as he wants to fund this show. So
I am enjoying it more than I've liked a lot of the other fantasy stuff that has come our way.
Agreed.
Okay, well, that was that. We'll be back next week to watch episode 8 and talk about
finale,
it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then like and subscribe and comment and thumbs up. Thumbs up helps the most. And we have a website and Cashapp and Venmo and Patreon, and bye-bye.